I hope that you love this as much as I do. I love this glacier linen from Carrie of Roxy Floss Co. And our first color, day one, is this absolutely beautiful red called Suitable. We've also been given our flexible keychain to hold our floss for the month. And I packed a couple of brand new Q snaps, 11-inch square Q snaps in my bag to bring with me because I'm going to, well, I just couldn't wait. And I didn't want to bring an extra pair of scroll rods. So I'm going to start with Q snap because I think it's a good size. And it's a close up of our needle minder, which I love. And let's get set up and get started. Good morning, future editing Caroline here the next day. This is the whole reason why I do these videos a day ahead of time, is so that I can catch any mistakes that I may have made and get those corrected as soon as possible. Somebody caught my mistake on the intro video that I posted on the fabric requirements, the border margins. I know these things. I don't know what I was thinking. 28 count is not related to 16 count Aida. 28 count and 14 count Aida are the same. So if you're stitching on 14 count Aida or 28 count linen, you have a 2-inch border on the sides. 16 count Aida is related to 32 count linen. You are going to have a 2.5 inch border. 36 is 18. Excuse me, it's very early in the morning. 36 is related to 18. 40 count is related to 20 count Aida. There's your correction. And a huge shout out, thank you to the commenter who pointed that out. I pinned the comment, so hopefully those of you who are stitching on 16 count Aida caught that. So back to day one. Happy day one, everybody. I hope you enjoyed opening your first package. As Jacob says, I hope you, and we hope you'll enjoy the ride. So beautiful card for day one. I've got my fabric, which is the beautiful Glacier stretched. I'm going to use an 11-inch Q-snap frame, and I've got my needle minder ready to go. And one thing I don't always love about brand new Q-snaps is that the snaps themselves are really, really, really snug. So for a slightly looser fabric like the 36, it's really hard to get it straight. Anyways, so I may have some wave in my design, but that's all right. It'll come out when I take the snaps off. Okay, so day one stitching with our Suitable floss. I'm going to have to be careful. You are going to have to be careful with the counting in between the motifs that are at the top of the design because as you can see from the chart, they're not all the same. So I'm going to get to that in a minute, but first I'm going to have a peek at my day one advent opening surprise from 4 Boys and an Adult Girl. I've opened the box. My fabric is this beautiful blue 28 count even weave. So this is what's going to be the background. I have no idea what this pattern is. This for me is a mystery. So day one floss, crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. Ooh, DMC 3809. Ooh, that's gonna be a nice combo. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh, that's pretty. That's really pretty. Okay, so because it's a mystery, and those of you who are stitching this, it's a fair bit of stitching for day one. So I'm gonna make sure that I get a little bit of that done so that I can see how the color is going to look on that fabric. So that's gonna be fun. And I've got another Q snap. So let's get that set up. Let's get our first few stitches in. to tell you. You may have noticed that your ornament came as a DIY. You will have received in your day one envelope a little piece of red ribbon, and that is for you to attach to the top of your ornament. So you can DIY your own ornament string. So aren't they cute this year? I love them. Love them. They turned out really great. Okay, let's get stitching. So I thought I would share my preparations with you in case there's always people who are a little bit newer who might have questions. So if you're working with an over-dyed, hand-dyed cotton or thread for the first time, I keep my thread on the card and I simply come down to the bottom and I cut through all those loops at the bottom, and that way your thread is ready to go. I'm going to be just using one strand of floss, so I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and I'm just going to choose one strand from the skein and pull it out, ready to go. If you're going to be using 2 strands of floss, I would take out one of the groups of 6 like this, pull from the knot like that, and then you've got your length of thread to pull your 2 threads from. So you're going to pull one at a time like that. 1, straighten up your thing, your length of floss, pull your 2nd thread out of the group holding on at the top, pull it out, straighten up that floss. Now I like to make a little loop to keep the rest of those 4 strands neat and tidy. Set them to the side, they're ready to go. Grab your 2 strands. With hand-dyed floss, you want to make sure that you've got the right ends together because the variegation, you want them to match up. Line up your 2 strands, tidy them up, and thread your needle, you're ready to go. So because I'm only using 1 strand, I'm going to set those aside and I'll use them in my stitching. So I'm going to thread my needle and then I'm going to start my stitching with a waist knot, which is really easy to do. So you thread your needle and you're going to make a knot at the other end of the thread. Then you're going to find, because our top border is just a straight row of stitches, I'm going to find the middle of my row and I'm going to insert my needle a couple of inches away from where I want my first stitch to be. So I found my left corner, I've marked it with my needle, so I'm going to come along a couple inches. Actually, let's make sure I'm in the middle there. It's an optical illusion because my fabric isn't quite straight. So I'm inserting my needle from the top to the bottom, pulling that through so the knot is at the top, and then I'm going to bring my needle up where I want to start my stitching. Remove my marking needle, and then I'm just going to start stitching. And as you stitch along that row, you're going to be covering up the thread that's on the back, and then once you've done 6 or 7 stitches, you can trim that, get rid of your knot, and you've got a nice tidy start. Okay, so there you go. You can see how I've got enough stitches started that it's covering up enough of that thread at the back that I can go ahead and snip that out. Careful not to cut your fabric. Remove your knot. Done. That's it. Now you've got your stitching well underway. So I've got, in order to make sure that I don't have to fix this and count it 100 times, I went ahead and after I put in my first length of floss, I started the first of the 5 motifs that have to come across the top. And I do not like carrying thread on my fabric, especially with this fabric. As you can see, you would be able to see that red floss right through it. So I did a pin stitch start for this. Now, the way that my eyes work, I figured, you know, it's much better if I just point you in the direction of a couple of really good pin stitch tutorial videos if you've never done one and you want to give it a try, instead of reinventing the wheel. Because of, I have to have my face so close to the fabric to see when I do the pin stitch. So if you are working on an even weave or a linen, I highly recommend the video done by X Stitch MD on the pin stitch. And if you're stitching on Aida, I found a great tutorial done by Made by Kai, K-Y. And I will put links to both of those videos in the drop down box below. So I highly recommend that you don't carry your floss, just because it's that bright, vibrant red behind your fabric, and it might not show through, but chances are more likely that it's going to show through the front of your design. So just to keep it neat and tidy, give it a try. It's not hard to do. You can do it. All right, so I'm going to carry on. Jacob has tried to keep our daily stitching to about 200 X's a day, which is totally manageable. So I'm going to carry on and I'm going to finish today's day 1 stitching. That's a wrap on day 1 stitching, and I counted my spacing between these motifs 3 times. But tomorrow in the daylight, I'm going to count again. I'm going to count a 4th time before I add day 2 stitching. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to count in groups of 10 my top border so that I can make sure that I've got the full width of stitches there. But anyways, there you have it. There's day 1. Stitching is complete. Well, it's a little later in the day, and finally sat down with my knitting. Sarah's Afghan. But first, guess what? I have a finished sock. Sock number 1 is done. I just finished the toe earlier. Sarah tried it on. These are going to be a gift for my niece Clara, and she and Sarah have the same size feet. So she also, my sister-in-law Kathy is a knitter, so I know that Clara will appreciate these. She's gonna love these. She's gonna love these colors. This is my Timber Yarns. It's one of the yarns from Sampler September. It's called Agnes. I can't wait to block it and put it on blockers because it's really going to show the pattern off to full advantage. I used the Mahogany Run pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. You can see, look at that patterning there. Really easy pattern to follow. Has a heel flap and gusset and regular rounded toe. I followed the pattern to a T, made the medium size. So I think her feet are an 8.5. So 1 done. So I just have to finish 1 more. we're going to be celebrating with them on the 21st of December. So I have plenty of time to finish sock number 2, get them washed and blocked and wrapped, ready for gifting. So 1 done, finished object, half finished object. So yesterday I spread out Sarah's Afghan on the bed just to see, well, first of all, to admire it, but to see where my progress was with it and get an idea of, you know, how much was left. There's still a lot left. However, you know, seeing it laid out really drives home how beautiful it is. I took a little bit of video footage of it. It was far too loud, so I waited until it shut itself off. And I moved the table so that it wasn't quite as much of a sideways angle. Where was I? So I took a little bit of video of Sarah's Afghan laid out, all laid out in its glory on the bed. And it's so beautiful that I really want to make some good progress this month. She keeps asking me, well, she teases me. She says, you know, weren't you supposed to finish that ages ago? And yeah, whatever. But bottom line is that she loves it. She's excited about it. And I really want to finish it. It's just really, each row takes quite a bit of time. And you have to think about it. It's certainly not a mindless knit. You have to be awake. You have to be concentrating because it requires a lot of concentration. This is the Talon Throw, T-A-L-O-N, by Brooklyn Tweed, and I am knitting it with Barocco vintage yarn, which is an easy care yarn. It's a little more expensive than say an acrylic. It is a wool acrylic blend, so you know, someone who is not used to washing woolens carefully, you know what I mean. I don't have to worry that she's going to ruin it if she puts it in the washing machine. So what I'm going to do, I had my stitch marker. I moved my stitch marker when I picked this back up again a couple weeks ago. So as you can see, I've almost done a repeat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this today and keep track of how much progress I make throughout this month of videos. Throughout this month of December, let's see how much I can get done. So that's the plan. So that's my knitting. I'm really happy I finished that sock. I feel like I'm well on my way. I'm only planning on making 1 handmade gift this year, totally doable. And then I'm gonna, you know, have a few personal projects just for me this month. So there's only one other thing that I wanted to chat about today, that is about the ornament for this year, the Flossmas ornament. So if you've been here for a while, you may know this is the 3rd year that I'm doing the holiday countdown mystery stitch along, but this is actually the 7th year that I'm doing Vlogmas videos. The 7th year. I was actually the very first one to do Flossmas videos 7 years ago, back in 2018. It was an idea that my friend Heidi had at a retreat that we went to. It's a retreat that's a couple times a year, run by some very good friends of mine, ladies I've been friends with for years and years. And Heidi and I were there, and she was saying, you know, I have this really good idea. We should do like cross stitch Vlogmas videos that are just like the knitting community does, but we should call it Flossmas. And she said, I don't want to, she says, I'm not going to do it, but you should do it. And I did. So this has been, this is the 7th year. And for all 7 of those years, I have partnered together with another very good friend of mine, Patty Brake, of 4 boys and a Newfoundland girl. And Patty has designed a chart an ornament chart every year for Flossmas that we've used as a way to fundraise some money for charity. And every year there is a different charity that the money goes towards. Every year I have raised money for Muscular Dystrophy Canada. I'm going to be making a personal donation this year myself for Muscular Dystrophy Canada because fundraising wise, my efforts are going to join with Patty's this year, and we're going to raise money for Doctors Without Borders. So all of the proceeds from the Flossmas ornament chart, and Patty doesn't quite have the model done yet, but you can easily tell from the digital mock-up that it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so sweet. She's got it partially done so you can get a good idea of what it's going to look like. The chart itself is $10 Canadian, I believe it's Canadian. $10 Canadian, $8 of that $10 is going to be donated towards Doctors Without Borders. The extra $2 is needed to cover the costs of, you know, the platform and the administration fees. There are always fees involved with sales platforms, as many of you know. So that is a substantial amount of money that I think we can raise from this chart to be donated to a really worthy organization. So I'm excited about that. I will be hosting a few auctions, Instagram auctions. I have a few things that I have kept squirreled away that have been donated to me by a couple of viewers that I have held on to for this very reason, that were given to me in order to auction off to raise some money. So I'll have more details about that. Also, Evertote, I will be donating some items as well for these auctions. So keep your ear out for those coming in the weeks ahead. There will also be a few giveaways throughout the month, peppered throughout the month. I'm not exactly sure when. We'll keep that loose and relaxed just for something a bit fun to do. So links below in the description box for Patty's website, as well as her Flossmas videos over on her YouTube channel, 4 boys and an NL girl, and also Jacob DeGraff, Modern Folk Embroidery, my partner in crime, one of my partners in crime for this countdown stitch along, the designer extraordinaire, the man behind the mystery. He has some wonderful videos planned for us this month. I've already been privy to a couple of them, and you're really going to enjoy them. We are in for a treat from Jacob. He is such a talented man. So today's offering from Jacob is a song. So I know that we will all enjoy it. After I am done this, and it's actually the first of the month for me, I will make sure that I head over there and give it a listen and a thumbs up. It's a lot of work that Jacob puts into these videos for us, so I know we'll all enjoy them. Okay, on that note, happy day 1. I hope you've had a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Happy stitching.